go back to May of 1990, and you were called in for a particular search. I'm referring to the Clayton Miller search, of course.
Yes.
And tell me about how you got called in, and what was the lead up to that?
Well, actually, it wasn't a call-in at the beginning. Mr. Langley, who is in the club, he was my mentor in the club. He called me on the phone, and he said, I received a phone call from the Chief of Police of New Waterford, Doug Crow. He said, I have to go meet with him. He said, I never met him before, Brian. You know him because you lived in New Waterford. You know who the chief is. He said, would you come with me and come down and introduce me to the chief? He wants to talk to me. I said, sure. So Eric picked me up. We went down. When I went into the police station, we met with the chief. First, we met with Brian White, who was the deputy chief at that time. He is now deceased, and so is the chief. The both of them are deceased people. But we did meet with them, and we were just talking generalities. He was just more or less questioning our credentials, what we do when we're on a search, and do we know the difference between a lost person and a person that don't want to be found. We were kind of questioned in that manner by them, right? Because we were still building rapport with a lot of the police departments, right? We got a call and said, we got to go to New Waterford, we got to do a search.
Right.
Said,
this was May 5th?
Probably around May 5th or the 6th. I don't have a record of that myself right now. But and at that time, I was operational chief, and I was storing the van in my own property, in my own yard. So we went there. We did have, I think we had roughly around 12 or 15 people came.
Right. So you met at the Mayflower Mall?
No, well, I went over to pick up a couple of people, because a lot of people were working, and to come back. We went out to New Waterford. I met Eric at there. He got in the van with me. He came out to Waterford with us. We met, and then there was a few people belonging to our club who lived in New Waterford, who received a phone call, because we called phone call from our operating list for people that's the closest in the area. If they're home, could they come, right? So we did have other people come and set up a search. We set up a search there right behind where the home hardware store is at. Right. Coming down into New Waterford off Ellsworth Avenue.
You know the name of the street?
It's Ellsworth Avenue, the main street.
Right.
But there's Current Street, and I think there's Ripley Street. There are two little side lanes. It's there. When we first went down there, I parked the van on 2nd Street. Right by, there's a hairdressing shop there now. It's right on the corner of Ellsworth and 2nd Street. We did some there, we did some planning there, and we told the teams what we wanted them to do. So then we were kind of blocking the corner, so I backed up, turned around, and we went up Ellsworth Avenue, and I'm not sure if it was the first road I went in was Current Street I was on, or it was Ripley Street at the time. They're two dead-end streets. They just go in, they're dead end. You got to turn around back in somebody's driveway to drive. It's not even a cul-de-sac on either one of them. So that's where we left the van for when we were doing the search, and we were asked just to walk up on both sides of the brook, make a hasty search. Our teams, guys were there, were told what they were asked to do. They went up, they followed the brook all the way up past where 12, it goes up through 12 Colliery from 2nd Street. It swings around down past, comes up below Park Street, which comes down again off of First Street. And it comes down off of Wilson Avenue. It's the bottom end of Wilson Avenue that's called Park Street, which we used to call at that time. It never had the name Park Street. We used to call it down the dam. That's where we just had, that was the name in each area at that time, that was called the dam. So, and that was the little pond I told you when we used to go swimming when we were kids down there, that little pond. We used to swim there on May 24th. But we had a team search all the way right up to the pond and around the pond on both sides.
And so how would that go? How would they do it? It's a small
arm length from each other. Say there might be say it might be us three on the team on this side of the brook, and there might be 3 or 4 on that side.
Right.
Well, you go just touch shoulders to each other, and we just walk side by side and just walk. We're all walking on the same bearing and looking. And you do that as you go all the way up the brook, and then we told where you stop, and then you turn around and you come all the way back down on your back bearing, because we were asked to close search to the brook. So we didn't have to step aside to make the offset to come back, because it was so open there. It was an open field. You could see if there was somebody there. So and then just before the search was over, I mentioned to 2 or 3 of the team members that were on one team, I said, before we call the search off, we should have a team go out across Ellsworth Avenue and search the bottom end of the brook. There's a little bit more alders and stuff there. So on both sides of the brook. So there was 4 guys went. They formed 2-man team. And they went down and they searched from Ellsworth Avenue on the low side of 2nd Street across from Ellsworth Avenue. They followed the brook all the way down until they come to the next brook blockade that was there, like a little bridging thing there. And then on the opposite side, that was all clear going down to other people's houses, so you would see if anybody was there. So even the lower side was searched. So we were probably there 3.5 to 4 hours from the time we got there until we left. It was probably around a little bit starting to get dark when the search was over for us.
Right.
So
what time you you arrived there? What time of day?
Oh, I'd say it was probably 4:30, something like that. Maybe 20 to 5 we got there, something like that.
And the weather conditions?
Weather condition was kind of like a day like it is right here, right now.
So that's
Kind of sunny, wasn't a real overcast, a little cloudy sky, but no, it was reasonable weather. And
the foliage on the trees, were there?
no, there was just, summertime, summertime, like spring coming, and pussy willows growing and stuff like that along here and there in the odd tree and stuff like that. But no, it was all good weather, good walking,
Of course, of interest would be the brook itself.
Yes.
Make sure that somebody's not in the brook.
Right.
Would that be the instructions as well to your searchers?
Oh, well, the brook was not that wide. If somebody, let's just say if there was an animal or a person laying in the brook, you would see them in the brook 25 feet before you would even get to them, because the brook was not that deep. There was 2 little puddle holes in it that probably made a rain 2.5 to 3 feet deep. But if there was even an animal in it and it was deceased, it would be floating. You would see it, because it wouldn't stay down in that shallow of the water. It would drift to the shore side, right? No, our guys were quite qualified in searching and finding things and identifying things. And if we did do that, it would be roped off, and the police would have been called immediately to have an officer come down to protect the area, because we always protected the area of the search where we find a deceased person. And we cordon off probably around 40 feet each way around where the deceased person is found. And we tell the rest of the team member that found it, the only one that's allowed to do the work is the team captain. He goes and he marks it off, and he makes sure that his team, the rest of the team, guard the area, that don't allow anybody else, in case there's just people that's not belonging to the search come into the area. They watch for anybody who comes in to that area to keep them away until the police come there.
It goes without saying, but just to confirm, there was no body found in that.
We did not see nothing. There was nothing there. And the next thing I know, when the search was over, it was in a day or a day and a half, it was in the paper that, I don't know, I can't say for sure if it was the police that said they found the body at the brook, but young Miller's body was found at the brook. And I said, I find that awful funny, I said to my wife, because how could he be there? We had a team there that searched. We didn't find nobody. And that's all I know. That's all I can say, right?
But you're coming forward now, and it's obviously it's 2017.
Yeah, and I found this funny because from the meeting we had when we first met with the chief of police and the deputy chief, when this happened, I thought this was already wrote down and it was recognized because the team was there. We did the search, so I thought we were doing the search for the police. I found it, I was upset Because there's no way they were making us look like, hey, we're lying. Like, we just did a search there and there's no body, and all of a sudden the police officers who found it walks up, just gets out of their police car and, oh, blow a hole, there's the body laying there. No, that don't happen like that. But I can't judge anybody. There's mistakes can be made by everybody. But to my knowledge, from us being there searching, nothing was found.
And so it just came to light recently that...
Yeah, it came to life. That, like, they said that they don't think even search and rescue was there. But we were there.